and welcome to another installment of Bophelong, a place of hope. I am your host, Puleng. The youth of South Africa has long been labeled as the lost generation. According to Statistics SA, between 2008 and 2009, about 26.3% of the population lived below the food poverty line. With numbers such as this, it is difficult to imagine some being able to break out of the cycle of poverty. Thabang Mlangeni is a young man from Soweto who proves that with hard work, even the greatest of challenges can be overcome. Let's take a look at his story.
South of Johannesburg lies South Africa's largest township, Zola, a section in the Soweto that groomed many great musicians and tremendously contributed to South Africa's fight against apartheid. Today, it is a place that sees many youth with little access to opportunities and poverty that seemingly traps them into a life of lacking. Thabang Mlangeni's story begins with a similar prologue. Growing up with less than his own neighbors made life certainly difficult.
Ubono mamaka awasha next door. That you attend the same class with in a high school, who sit next to you and he's clean and you're not clean. And maybe sometimes teachers, they make a comment with, check that guy is so clean and look how dirty you are. And you just check it. That all work is not because of that child, it's mom. And when mom is just coming to you in your place and say, Thabang, you need to wash the masogisi and then you wash the shirt. And all those things didn't make sense at the time. Because mama was like, what are you trying to do? You are doing washing next door, you understand? And for me, when you come there, you wash the shirt, you wash all those kind of things. It was so depressing, because sometimes those things were like, like when you come back, Nabangan market school in Babonuma Makatun is next door washing. And how do you feel? Is there anyone who's gonna take you serious from there? When I grew up, I was one of the guys that I don't want to blame other person for my failure, and I still have that in my genes, in my body.
For this young man, poverty was a mindset and not a circumstance.
I won't say I was that I was poor, I don't believe there's anyone who's poor. As long as you've got hands and mind, then you're not gonna be poor. And I still fight to say I was poor. I can say the opportunities that were there at that time were not favoring me, but I need to make sure that I turn them to be on my side.
It was his dreams to improve the lives of his family and his own that he began to set the path. This allowed Thabang to see a way through his challenges.
I need to fight for my mom. I need to fight for my family. I need to fight for everyone that was in that situation with me. I remember when I go back into Mkukwini, I said, I written something on my paper. I say, this is the things that I want to do. I want to have a construction company. At the age of 21, I want to be a radio presenter. At the what age I wanted to do in the companies and everything like that. And doing that, I need to act on that. And kind of things, and I needed to make sure that I changed that, and I didn't want to stress my family and say do whatever. So I need to make sure that I take charge of my things.
The next step was for him to buckle down and get some work done.
I was introduced into my dream of starting the business of dustbin. You understand? Because I saw there's a dustbin and dustbin are not clean, but I can make cash out of this, So at 2008, I was doing grade 10 that time. When I was doing grade 10, I went to every household to ask them just to clean their dustbin, and I charged them 20 rand per month, which means a day. It's 5 rand, So in a month I have only 4 weeks. I used to cut grass for Aboma Keloan and everything like that, just to earn that living for that time. Who's Thabang? It's a guy it's just a general guy, some guy who's humble, who loves to smile. I love to smile a lot. But at the end of the day, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm not gonna go into the political side of business, say you are made or born, but I believe I'm a born entrepreneur, because I don't remember myself, at the age of 22 years, I don't have any MBA, I don't have anything, but the only thing when you check where do I come from, I think I was born with those things, so Thabang will be an entrepreneur at the end of the day.
Would Thabang's dreams and achievement end with cleaning dustbins? Would he ever be able to fulfill his dreams of owning a construction company and building his family home?
After the break, we see if Thabang really has the strength to fulfill his dreams. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Bophelong, a place of hope. We continue with the story of Thabang Mlangeni, a young man facing the challenges of poverty and lack of opportunities. Like many of Thabang's peers, he has big dreams. So now we want to see if Thabang really has the strength to carry on. Let's take a look.
Thabang Mlangeni was 19 years old with a small but operational business and an undying determination. Now, the next step for him had to be growth and reaching the many goals he had set for himself.
When I come here, I tell them exactly how to start the business, where they should go and register the business, and after registering the business, where to go about and how to execute that idea. Because in every day, everyone have an idea. And I'm only telling people, there's no great idea in this world until you execute it. I'm a co-founder of Luther Construction. That company, actually, we deal a lot of things. We do paving, we do, but we are specialized in basically in construction. I specialize in on bricklaying, you understand, and foundation.
He's also the founder of Lillian M Associates, for which he is the chief executive officer. The company focuses on asset management and assisting others around him in building their wealth. Not surprising considering that Thabang then began assisting his peers at the Mdeni Skill Center.
I want to see more entrepreneurs in this world. I think we're sick and tired of people having CVs and every day. We want people to create employment. As I can tell you the secret about me, there's nothing special. The special is that I never write in a CV. You know, I don't know how to write a CV, but I only know how to write a business plan. I started last year because last year I was having a mission to help 12 entrepreneurs, you know, basically. So basically I found myself adopting, you know, the skill center because it's something with the initiative and whatever they do for a community when they help people, you know, about the skills. So I thought maybe I can contribute, you know, just be a change that I want to see in the world. We call it talent agriculture. Basically, Lena I'm a student, you know, in the skill center. When you come, like, I my experiment. Remember, agriculture, I'm going to intercept every day. Agriculture, go to Hambi Mshabini, Ukupe, when the show to your plant so that you can know what lento khuluma ngayo injani. And for this project, but like abantwana like from like about student in 3 months basis. Basically, the first month, and then remember in a day there's a practical, there's a theory, there's practical, there's a theory, and then by assessment and by graduate.
The young entrepreneur was now able to add the word mentor to his list of capabilities. And it's not just the old and young students that admire his work, but also the staff at the skill center that see him as an example.
Umuntu enhleka ngafuni ukuthi umuntu ushuthi thona beqeda ukufunda akazi ukuthi uyapi wenzani. Yena yazama ukuthi abatholele lo msebenzi lo.
Thabang is the kind of guy that you can rely on. We've been working with him for about 6 months now. He's assisting us with the mentoring for our learners that have decided to open their own companies. He is working on our program, Enterprise Development. So he is been an instrument to our beneficiaries.
About 42% of young people under the age of 30 are unemployed, compared with less than 17% of adults over 30 in South Africa. Analysts have long said that encouraging entrepreneurship is the solution. However, farming remains vitally important to the economy. The youngster Thabang Mlangeni has brought together both elements of business and agriculture to his community.
We try by all means we don't select because we're end of the we're in the heart of the community, and this thing is for community.
Out of all his achievements, the one thing he cherishes the most was being able to tear down the shack his family lived in and build them a home made out of bricks and mortar.
ukuthi bahlale bonke baneliseke njengoba phela bengabafana ke ababili ukuthi kunye ke uqashisile ke hayi ngibona ngathi kusahlaleka kahle.
Having lost his mother to illness last year, Thabang maintains a strong relationship with his grandmother, who dreams big for him.
Angiboni lutho olubi kuye Nkosi yami. Ngibona zonke izinto nje uzihambisa kahle ngendlela enhle. Angiboni okubi kuye. Ngimcelela inhlanhla naye ukuthi ahambe kahle endleleni. Celela nomakoti ukuthi ahambe kahle.
The rise and rise of Thabang, a young, gifted and black man, continues as the community cheers him on.
Umuntu osebenzayo wasebenza emncane njoba ngisho abonge ngithande nalokubonga kwakhe ukuthi siyabonga mem ukuthi usiphathele angilinde nangithe ngizobaphathela. Siyabonga Thabang, sicela ukhule utshele nabanye ufundise nabanye ukukhula ukudonsa nabanye abasemuva ukuthi baphakame njengawe. Khulu khokho bendoda ngiyaziqheyisa ngawe.
After the break, we will be joined by an author and motivational speaker, Graham Butchert, who will be talking to us about how each and every one of us can maximize our potential. After the break. You're still watching Bophelong, and thank you so much for staying with us. I am now joined in studio by an author and motivational speaker, Graham Butchert. Graham, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
It's a pleasure.
I'm more interested to find out what has motivated you to write this book.
Okay, so I come from a career in advertising. I was in advertising for almost 30 years on the creative side, and I spent a wonderful time exploring and having a great deal of fun, solving all sorts of challenges with pictures and words and solving big communication problems for all sorts of industries, big ones, small ones, you name it. I had a great career, but that career came to an end, and it wasn't by choice, it wasn't by design, as is the case with many, many people. We reach an end point, and we've got to begin again. But I did, at the end point, what many people do when they come to a point where it's over. I dwelled in my failure, okay? And I felt miserable for myself. And I started to blame everything. And I started to blame everything out there for what had occurred to me, okay? I viewed what had happened to me as circumstantial. Okay. The outside world had aligned to end me. Okay. And I wallowed in that for about a year. I wallowed in self-pity. But then a miracle did occur, and I woke up to the realization, and it's important that we understand this, that nothing changes if nothing changes. And that change had to come from within me. And I guess I was fortunate in that I had the prior experience and knowledge of how to change circumstances from my creative background. So I applied those to myself. It wasn't easy. There were setbacks as I moved forward, and I moved from advertising into lecturing and training and working with people. And during that process, I began to see a consistency of problems presented by many people across a diverse range of industries and ages and gender and you name it. The consistent problem of how we think and therefore how we behave.
You said, Graham, nothing changes if nothing changes.
Yes.
And I think that's a very powerful statement that you just made.
Yeah.
If you look at Thabang Mlangeni as well,
Yes.
growing up with a mother who was just working next door to his house doing the neighbor's laundry. And he felt, well, if my mother can't do my laundry and I rock up at school and I'm not clean and the teachers are looking at me like, your mother is doing laundry next door, but you come to school and you're not. And I bet that Thabang went back and said, well, if I don't change certain things about me, nothing's going to change. But Graham, can anyone have that zero to hero experience?
Everyone can. And the reason everyone can is we're all born genius. Okay? This idea that only a certain group of society have some super intellect is just rubbish. It's absolute nonsense. Everyone, every living thing was designed to succeed. There is nothing that isn't designed to succeed. Okay? So we've all got that full potential. We've all got that great potential. What happens is we are programmed and we are conditioned. Just like the technology around us is programmed to behave in a certain way. You know, if I open my laptop and I want to go to Outlook, I press a certain button.
Yes.
Okay, we function in a very similar way to that. Our program, however, our programming, however, is often redundant to where we find ourselves in a present moment of time. Technology allows technology to refresh, to update its application. So we'll put a new software in, or we'll upload a new application to make the device work better.
Yes,
Okay?
okay.
But when was the last time we uploaded a new software system for this? Okay? We're all operating, or many of us are operating, on some outdated factory setting. What we grew up with is
Yes.
how we're thinking and how we're operating. Yeah.
I mean, Graham, you say that we're all geniuses in our own right, but if you look at a lot of young people, they sit at home and they don't have jobs, and they're wondering, where do I begin?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I would also ask a question, where do we lose a point where we're no longer our genius selves, and we have completely given up hope entirely?
Okay. All right. Life is led through experiences. Okay. So what we experience today informs what and how we look at how we manage tomorrow. And for many, tragically for many young South Africans, the prior experiences last week, last month, last year, okay, consistently, what they're experiencing is rejection, failure, defeat, consistently. And that is how now they're building a view of how they can go forward, okay? It doesn't have to be that. If we have the consciousness of our thinking, if we stop for a moment and say to ourselves, what am I thinking? How am I forming what I'm doing going forward? And how is my thinking currently going to influence how I'm going forward? And I come back to Thabang's story, because as you say, and as he says, and as is recognized by his behavior, he made a conscious decision to stop something and start something else. So for all the millions of young South Africans out there who are not breaking through, who are not succeeding
yes.
in a present condition, it's not because they can't. It's because they've created a thinking system that says they can't.
So
and
Graham,
they believe that. They've come to believe it. They have to stop, pause, reassess what they can do. Okay? Reevaluate what they have got as skill, as potential. Reassess maybe, okay, if I can't get a college or university education, what practical thing have I got? What current skill have I got that I can apply in some unique and some different way?
And Graham, you talk a lot in your book, the Genius Program, that you know, we have a lot of judgment voices in our head.
Wow, yeah.
What are those voices?
Okay, and I'll give you, and this is what many of these young South Africans are dealing with. Okay, they are hearing, okay, through leadership, through business, through media, they're hearing consistently, okay, that the job opportunities are minimalized. Okay. They're hearing that you know, our youth don't have the education that they need. So they're hearing these messages, okay? Well, what do is they take those messages and they translate them into fact. They come to believe that message, okay? And that belief informs them that they themselves won't be able to enter a marketplace. So we have what are called disempowering self-beliefs, but we own them, we create them.
How do you mean, Graham?
When I was very young, I came home from school one day with a drawing that we'd done in the class. And the teacher had said to me in the class, "Graham, that's a wonderful drawing." Okay. So what did I do? I showed it to my mummy, right? And my mummy said, "Graham, you're such a good boy. That's such a clever drawing." Okay. In the room was my big brother. What does my big brother say about my drawing? It's rubbish. Okay. Who do I believe? My big brother. Because he's who I aspire to. He's my aspirational model. I know what I'm going to get from my mother, which is love and understanding and care. Okay? So that information I get from my brother determines what I do now with my drawing. So I stopped drawing. Okay? I gave up. I devalued myself because I viewed my drawing as not good enough or not competent enough based on a voice of my brother. Now, these voices are consistent. We also have very positive voices within us that say, don't cross the road without looking left and right. But we do have voices that minimize our potential. They say to us, "Oh, no, you're not quite good enough to do that job." Okay? Or, "So many people before you have tried this, Why do you think it's going to work?" Or, "There are hundreds of people looking for transport solutions, What's going to make your idea any better?"
Oh, Graham, I could sit here and just listen to you, motivate and pull my spirit up the whole day. And I think it's a lot of what young people out there need. But unfortunately, we've come to the end of our program. But the great thing is that you have a book out. The book that's out is the Genius Program, and you can go out there and get it for yourself if you do want to have that dose of inspiration every day. As for me, this is how I wrap up the show today. Let's do this again next week, Saturday on Channel 404 SABC News at 5:30. Goodbye. Have a wonderful weekend.